Hi guys, again. Welcome to the Gay and Brown in the 21st Century podcast. Hey. Alright, so today, I don't know what my energy is giving today. I'm in my pajamas and I had class. I had my night class from 6 to 8 p.m. Um, yeah, it was 6 to like 8:30. And I just had some salad, but I I've been on a journey recently, and so I'm like, I should get on this microphone and tell the people what's going on because there's just been a lot, and I'm just like, I need to tell the people. So yeah, where should I start? So basically, I dropped my Bible class. I'm in my spring semester. I don't know if I said this, but I'm in my spring semester of a Master of Arts in Religion. And this is my final semester. And unfortunately, like we're only supposed to take 2 Bible courses within like our time, but because I didn't realize that the second one had to be upper level, I basically am having to take it. Was having to take it again because I tried to take a J term, but that didn't work out. So whatever. But yeah, so I needed that credit, but I just ended up dropping it because I was like, with thesis and everything going on, I have thesis and I have 2 other classes. One of my classes that I have is chill, the other one is like more like weekly discussion posts. But I just felt like it was like the Bible and like sexuality, or it was the Bible and masculinities. That was like the course, and I felt like just because of like who I am and like I came from a liberal arts like SUNY education, and it just felt like the class was never going there, like, and it was just really a lot for me to be reading like the stuff in that class because it's just so different for me. Like, it's so dissonant. Like, I feel like when you try to mix something antiquated with something more contemporary and more like, these, like, the field of like gender and sexuality is a very like brooding, or not brooding, what's the word that I'm trying to say, um something that's basically, it's a lively field. It's something that's cutting edge. It's coming, like, it's very on the ground and dynamic, and that's just not what religion is. So it was just a lot for me to read and do those weekly posts because, and then also the professor was like a straight white man, and we're just not going to do that. But anyways, so I had went to the dean and I was like telling her about this, and she was like, I definitely felt like her discontent, and she even questioned if I was like self-sabotaging, and then I also, was telling, like, I just feel like that whole thing, like, it was just, I don't know. And the same dean that like later I went to, and on a different, different day, different instance or whatever, not different instance, but different day, and I told her the same thing, that like, I was really struggling with it, and I mentioned that I was like dissociating because, and she was like, she was like shocked about that, and I'm like, I don't know if it's because you're a white queer woman, but like, I don't know what is confusing. Like, if I was telling you I was struggling in a Bible course, and that those are like heavy courses, that the Bible is traumatic. We're in a religious institution that, by the way, feigns like we're all about activism, we're all about justice, we're all about all these things, right? So like, you should understand, of all people, as a lesbian white woman, like, you should understand why it's traumatic. And also, they present very masculinely, so I should say that. So that's also like very weird for me, that as another fellow, I'm, a gender nonconforming, like feminine presenting gay man, like, I don't know, but again, the whiteness, me being a gay man of color, I think makes it different. But so part of like why that's important is because I feel like, first of all, the fact that she was confused about it just irked my soul. But I think like, people don't understand what your experience is, and that's institutionally, like, in so many different ways, like whether it's, with your friends or whoever, like a lot of the times, like, people will not understand where you're coming from. You understand how you feel more than anybody else. You understand where the things you're saying are coming from. You understand your experience. So me facilitating my needs and dropping the class because I felt like it was adding to my plate, and I felt like, considering the fact that the burden that thesis is, considering the fact that like I need to be within myself, I need to have like myself, I need to be intact to be able to do that, like making that decision for me, that was important because clearly she didn't understand and she couldn't empathize or have compassion with my experience. And so like, I felt discontent, and I want to like, because a lot of times you do go through things, and people there's discontent because people get used to a way of people acting, or like, the standard protocol or the status quo or whatever. And it's like when someone deviates from that, people are, there's discontent. But it's like that's not really your problem, and I feel like that's part of understanding your worth, is like knowing that like you are the most fit to make decisions for yourself, and like whatever, if that causes you to step on other people's toes, or whatever byproducts, like that's not your responsibility. It really isn't. It doesn't, it's just irrelevant. But I just also, and then also within that, like I considered for a second doing my thesis in the summer, and I feel like both of those things felt very like I was deviating from like what's expected of me as a student. Like I was stepping on my thesis readers' toes, which is two of them. I was stepping on the dean's toes, like just on so many people. Like just what's expected as a student here is, that you're engaged full time, that it's intense, that that your hands are full, and that you're overwhelmed. And like I understand that it's grad school. I understand that's the standard. I understand why it's a standard. But at the same time, there needs to be some understanding that like as marginalized students, like we're often taking on more than our white counterparts. Like let's clock it. Let's make sure we're realizing that, because y'all want to act like everything is inherently the same, and everything is just objective, and everything's the same for everyone. Everyone's struggling. Everyone's not struggling the same. Everyone's not being asked of this, like the same things are not being asked of everyone here, because when you're a marginalized student, that means you automatically have to explain things in class. You have to like take on that burden of teaching other people, of facilitating other people's education, because they're ignorant about diversity and about like just the world. Because it's not even like diversity, I feel like it's really just the world. Like if you only understand how your demographic that you relate to understands the world, then like what are you, like what are you even doing, like why are you in academia? But I feel like both those things, it just felt very much like I was like, it didn't feel like the thing for me to do, and I felt like bad about doing it. I felt like why am I doing this or whatever. But I think it was also freeing to like do things on my terms, and really just like give myself the freedom to like whatever the implications it was for like however people were going to perceive me, whether it was the dean or my readers or whoever. Like I didn't care, because I had a fundamental understanding of like what my journey has been here, and how much strain has been put on me, just unfairness in the culture here. And like, so I did what I needed to do, understanding that, and I didn't have any guilt about it. Like I did think about it, because obviously when you're in an institution and everybody's performing in a certain way, everybody's navigating in a certain way, there's these prescribed ways, you're gonna there's gonna be some hesitation, there's gonna be some thought. But I didn't feel guilty, and I felt very free in like creating agency, facilitating my needs. And I actually told the dean that too. I was like, I'm gonna do what I need to do to facilitate my needs, because I don't know if I had mentioned in the other episode, but the J-term experience was very triggering for me as well, with like that professor being very racist, and coming into another Bible class this semester, and having being on the heels of that negative Bible class experience, where I felt like she was very brazen, very racist, and very open with it. I felt cynical as a student. I feel like if I'm in an environment where people don't care about me, where professors don't have any ethics, they don't have any integrity, why am I giving my all? Why am I being held to this burden, to this standard, when I'm not even safe in the space? Like it just really made me feel demoralized as a student. So like understanding all of these things, and privileging those experiences, and privileging my experiences, and using that as like my, not my gauge, but kind of like my rationale. Like I feel like that is the number one thing. Nothing else. It's not about what other people are doing. It's not about anything. It's about what, like I said a million times, it's about what you need, and what your experience was. And so there was also like it just, going back to that thread too, of like, I think it's just made me think so much. In undergrad, like my GPA, it was decent. It was like a almost like a 3.57. It was a decent GPA. It wasn't the highest, but I think it made me go back to like this thought of like, as minorities, like we always feel like to be in these spaces, it has to mean that we excel, right? That we like we have to be worthy of the opportunity, right? And like it comes with all these conditions, like, you know, that I'm performing well as a student, that I'm, you know, even taking the credit load that is expected of us, that, you know, I am, like I said, like it's expected you're overwhelmed, you know, all these things, right? And just also just that you're performing, like I said, you're performing well. And so all these conditions, you know, that you're in people's good graces, and that, you know, because I think that that's also with performing well and performing in the ways that, you know, you're supposed to perform in these systems. Like it's like that's the whole system is made in a way where it's like you have to kind of kiss up to professors, kiss up to administration or whatever. But I very much a person, because of my queerness, because of my being a person of color, like I feel like those things are not a thing to me. But that doesn't mean that they're still not, like, don't affect me and don't, you know, bear on like how I feel and how I felt navigating, you know, these experiences. And so but it made me think, like, I deserve this opportunity, even if it is that I deserve this opportunity to fail, that I deserve this opportunity, and I don't even want to say fail, but if I that I deserve this opportunity to have the opportunity to let it run its course, whether that means that I finish the semester and I just pass my classes, whether it means I finish the semester and I finish my thesis and my classes, whether it means that I take the class in the summer, like whether it means that I don't pass my classes and I just don't finish the degree, like that we deserve an opportunity isn't about, it's not tied into how we perform. Like an individual, everyone deserves opportunities. Like the whole meritocracy shit is bullshit, and it's like you deserve an opportunity as a human being. Like every human being deserves an opportunity. Like it's not about, oh, you deserve it only if you perform, only if you meet the standard, this impossible standard that, by the way, is going to be higher for you because of who you are. Like that's just such a stupid thing. And I feel like that's what it made me think. Like I've heard so many stories of people who were young who, like, they're like, I went to college and like I failed out after the first year, but like then I did this, or this led to that opportunity, or like, you know, I was in college and I wasn't really paying attention to the classes, but like this one class I really took this thing away, and then I made this company, or that led to me meeting this person that ended up being really important in my life. Like there are so many people whose stories, especially like, were just, I was there, and maybe some level of it, you know, in some way, maybe not the ways that, you know, through the education or through that route, through the degree or whatever, the connections and you know, that are part of the education. Like maybe it was you being there and you having the space to just have the resources or have the housing or whatever it is. Like you were there and you got something, and whatever it led to, that's fine. Like we don't have to excel and surrender our entire beings just to be worthy of an opportunity. And that's something we have to really shake as people of color, as queer people of color, etc., because it's just stupid, and other people are not held to that standard. Like I said in the other episode, there are literally people here who are doing ayahuasca and doing fucking on ketamine, and may I say, my white counterparts. And so like, what am I doing? Oh, I need to take a breath. And literally using AI to do all of their assignments, like plagiarizing, like things like that. So like I just think like we have to completely reimagine how we navigate these systems, because we are people that are worthy of like having experiences, especially with some of the things that in this country historically have happened to like marginalized groups of people. Like we deserve it. If you want to, don't, it's not even a handout, but if anyone deserves a handout, it's us, please. But I'm not even going to frame it that way, because it's not a handout, because there was never reparations, there was never any reparative action. But I think I got my point across. But yeah, and then even with my readers, like I met with them and it was very much like a screaming, like I felt like I was just screaming at them, and I didn't like, it felt very cathartic. It felt very like, it felt very nice to get things off my chest and to just say what I need to say to them, because one of them, like he's queer, he's relates to me. He's also a Latin man, bisexual, I think, though. And he's just been very like undermining throughout the whole process. Just weird. Like you have to meet with your professors a lot when you're like in the thesis process, and every time I met with him, it was just very much like, whenever I gave my ideas, he would just say I don't get it, over like every, like this wasn't just one meeting, this was multiple meetings where he was just like, I don't get it. And it was either I don't get it, or he would just also say all the time, it can't just be your opinion. And I just feel like